This pyramid is the individual. This pyramid is the institution. This pyramid is the community. Now, accountability begins with the individual. At the point of the pyramid, you as an individual. And as you relate your accountability concerns to the other pyramids, your institution, the community, your sense of your role is going to be more profound at the base than it is at the apex. The same thing is going to apply here and here. The difficulty is, or the connecting thing, is that there's a continuing loop of feedback. So what you assume as a starting point, why am I in this business in the first place, by the time you've interacted with the other pyramids, may end up as being very differently, a very different thing than what you assumed it was as a starting point. So in this business, I found it practical and useful to think about my view of what I'm doing, my roles and my responsibilities to others and myself and my community as a constantly changing thing, a sort of movable feast, and make no assumptions that, for example, if I'm a logistician, that being a good logistician, the best logistician in the world, defines why I'm in this business in the first place. A question: to whom do you feel yourself most accountable when you're working in the field?
The beneficiary.
Okay, to the beneficiary.
No, I don't agree with that. I think we feel we are most accountable to the employer.
If any one of you had to make a determination as to at what point your accountability to your institution would stop, what would that point be? Let's say your chief of operations has given you $100,000 to do something, and you need $20,000 to do something. And at some point you realize that. But at the same time, you know your chief of operations has to report to the donor that $100,000 was needed for this operation. Who are you going to contradict? I mean, let's be honest, what are we going to say? You're not going to throw the money away. Or maybe you're just going to distribute far more than you need to. What are you going to do?
Distribute more.
Well, the American Red Cross, after Hurricane Katrina, had a major incident in which a lot of money was donated to the Red Cross to respond to the Katrina hurricane. More money than they could ever use. They turned a lot of that money to reinforcing their blood bank, which is an essential part of the whole health system in the US. But the director of the Red Cross made the critical mistake of not telling the public this. She got fired, right? Now, it wasn't that the money was wasted or went to a bad cause, but it did not address the issue of accountability to the people who gave the money. They gave it for hurricane survivors, not for a blood bank. And they were outraged when they were told that after the fact. So, at what point does your relation to your institution contradict your being at the top of that pyramid, the first pyramid? It will happen. How far do we go to achieve our objectives? What do we choose to ignore to achieve our objectives? Putting it in a political framework, for example, human rights issues, gender-based violence issues, questions of torture issues. At what point does the outcome justify intervention by any means? this has been the subtext for a lot of what we're talking about. We have objectives to achieve, and by what entitlement are we able to simply do what we think or know to be best in order to achieve those objectives? At what point do we have to defer to other considerations? At what point do we have to, again, use the calculus of adjusting accountability? And at what point do we not stray beyond? I'm addressing this question to you as decision makers and as leaders.